PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and what a fantastic show we have planned for you tonight, as we're going to be doing another edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. And this was a really interesting game that went down as your Vegas Golden Knights took on the Tampa Bay Lightning. And there's a lot of good stuff back and forth that we are going to be talking about here on the show. And I will say that when it comes to this game, there is a lot in store, and there's some good stuff and some bad stuff that we are going to go over in this game tonight. And once again, talking about this on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, discussing the Vegas Golden Knights and Tampa Bay Lightning. Go to PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Check out all of the fantastic content we have on the network. We have about a dozen shows on the platform, including Vegas Hockey Hub. So go to the website, PRConnectionsRadio.com. And, we have amazing shows like Crypto and Cash. So if you want to be educated and want to learn about crypto, there is Crypto and Cash with Brett and Dan. You have The Love of Business, where they interview business owners in the Nevada area. Very informational, really insightful show out there at The Love of Business. You have Cozy Stone, where she interviews parents and tries to get dialogue there about what it's like to be a parent. You have We Have the Power with Brian Gardner. So if you're kind of like into the political spectrum, if you really want to learn about the state of politics in the state of Nevada and really the world in general, they have We Have the Power as well. And then you also have shows like, for example, Vegas Hockey Hub that you're watching right here, right now. And then lastly, go to the YouTube channel, PR Connections Radio. Check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, like, this is very important to our network. So if you can subscribe to the channel, we upload every single day. And we upload Vegas Hockey Hub Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. So once again, go to the YouTube channel, PR Connections Radio, and if you can subscribe, that would be fantastic as we are trying to build a network. And since we're going to be heading into a new year, there's going to be a lot of great, fantastic content for you. So I highly recommend going in and checking out that amazing content here on PR Connections Radio. So once again, go to the YouTube channel at PR Connections Radio and subscribe to the network and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any content on the network, and that includes Vegas Hockey Hub. And finally, if you want to follow Vegas Hockey Hub, we are on all major social media platforms. So we have a YouTube channel, Vegas Hockey Hub, where we try to upload new content and even exclusive content as we do Vegas Hockey Hub shorts as well. So go to the YouTube channel, Vegas Hockey Hub. We also have a Facebook page where we upload a bunch of interesting content. We do reels, and there's all this stuff that we do on the Facebook page at Vegas Hockey Hub. We have an Instagram account at Vegas Hockey Hub. So if you want to see the events that we go to on behalf of Vegas Hockey Hub, go to our Instagram account. And we have a Twitter as well at Vegas Hockey Hub, where we do live tweets of every single Golden Knights game. We try to interact and we try to engage with all of the amazing people that follow Vegas Hockey Hub. And then lastly, we have a TikTok as well. So we try to post as we go to events, and there's all this stuff that we're doing as well on the TikTok as well, Vegas Hockey Hub. So getting into the actual game itself, the pregame notes is what we have to talk about right now. And unfortunately, we have to start with some little bit of bad news, as former Vegas Golden Knight and former second overall pick Nolan Patrick has decided to retire at the age of 25. I mean, it was really shocking to hear the fact that Nolan Patrick, a guy who back in 2017 was the second overall pick, would be retiring from the NHL. Now, to anybody who does not remember, Nolan Patrick played for the Vegas Golden Knights. It was a very short stint, but he did play for your Vegas Golden Knights. And even though the Vegas Golden Knights organization did not get the most amount of value from him in his one season playing for the Golden Knights organization, Nolan Patrick ended up having, 2 goals, 7 points in 25 games. Now, I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of reflection here. Nolan Patrick being the second overall pick, He came from the Brandon Wheat Kings of the Western Hockey League. He had a connection there with Kelly McCrimmon, who is the current general manager of the Vegas Golden Knights. That's why he was brought over to begin with your Vegas Golden Knights when they traded him essentially in exchange for Cody Glass. So they swapped 2017 first-round picks. Cody Glass went over to Nashville, and Vegas got Nolan Patrick over from Philadelphia. And it just really sucks that a guy like Nolan Patrick, who played 200 NHL games, had only 77 points. And the unfortunate part about him is that his last moment and really his last highlight in the NHL was him suffering a concussion due to a hit from Nathan McKinnon. So, unfortunately, Nolan Patrick once again retiring at the age of 25. Now, a lineup change that happened before the game went on the air. Logan Thompson has a upper body injury. It was actually discovered, and it was found out that from the recent game that happened as we had the Carolina Hurricanes a while ago, Logan Thompson did suffer a upper body injury. So as a precaution, Isaiah Seville has been recalled from Henderson. Now, there is an opportunity, of course, that Hill and or Thompson can come back at a certain point. But I will say for your Vegas Golden Knights at this current moment in time, you have not one, but both of your AHL goalies. So you have Batara and you have Seville in net for your Vegas Golden Knights. And this was kind of big news in the pregame notes. The fact that Logan Thompson, who has played the last couple of games for your Vegas Golden Knights, he's been kind of the steady, strong horse for your Vegas Golden Knights organization. The fact that Logan Thompson suffered an injury in that most recent game, hopefully it's not a long-term situation for our sake and for your sake as well. Hopefully Logan Thompson will only be out for a game, maybe two at the most, but definitely interesting news that came out of here. Isaiah Seville was also issued the number 31, which, by the way, is the first time that somebody has gotten that number. So I will say, when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights organization, very interesting. Because with Batara, number 30, Malcolm Subban, he had that number before Yuri did get it. But the number 31 is the first time ever that somebody will be wearing that as a member of your Vegas Golden Knights. So kind of an interesting thing there. So within 7 years, no one else has worn that number in the NHL except for the guy that just recalled from Henderson and Isaiah Seville. And I will mention about Isaiah Seville just very quickly. He has been having a good season so far in Henderson. He's been doing a solid job. He's been improving. He's been getting better. His confidence has been getting up as a member of the Henderson Silver Knights. So I will say, when it comes to Isaiah, I like to see what he can do long term. Hopefully, this is something that we can see on a more frequent basis. You know, hopefully not due to injuries, but due to performance. Seeing Yuri and Isaiah kind of having more stints in the NHL. I mean, both of these guys under the age of 25, talented goalies in their own right. So for Isaiah Seville to eventually be recalled from Henderson and to be called up to be the replacement for Logan Thompson. And the last part that I do mention, because it is a week and a half away, the 2024 Winter Classic in Seattle. Almost said Henderson. Well, that would have been the AHL. The 2024 Winter Classic at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. The set design has officially been announced, and what an amazing set it is, as your Vegas Golden Knights will take on the Seattle Kraken at the Mariners Stadium in Seattle. Now, the way that it's going to be set up is they're going to have some kind of some made boats, kind of some like arts and crafts, kind of like boats in the right field area. You're going to have a walkway that kind of connects from home plate, from the dugout home plate onto the rink itself. And then the rink essentially is going to be from where first base is all the way to third base, with a little bit getting to left field and a little bit in the right field. But essentially it's going to cover the entire length of first base, third base. Really cool. And then lastly, like I mentioned, because of the injury, Yuri Patara is now in net for the Vegas Golden Knights. And I find this actually intriguing because the last time that we saw him play for your Vegas Golden Knights, and the last time we got to see him in net for Vegas, it actually was a game that happened a while ago. Because like I said, with Logan Thompson, he has been playing at a certain rate for your Vegas Golden Knights. He has started a couple of games in a row, but the last time that we saw Yuri in net for Vegas was a 5-4 shootout win, 5-4 shootout win against San Jose, and that was a couple of weeks ago. So for a guy like Yuri, this is definitely interesting to watch because once again, this is someone who's very young, someone who's in between the NHL and AHL, and he is really just getting started. So first starts in San Jose. Now, getting into the actual game itself, as once again we're breaking down this game between Tampa Bay and Vegas. The first 10 minutes of this game, a lot of it went by quickly. There really wasn't much that happened besides a hooking penalty from Ivan Barbashev that kind of happened within the first minute of the game. We'll talk about Ivan Barbashev later in this show. But yeah, Ivan Barbashev getting a penalty not even 1 minute into the first period. But you would get the first goal of the game for your Vegas Golden Knights as almost halfway into the first period, Jonathan Marchessault would score his 16th goal of the season, assisted by Brayden McNabb and Paul Cotter. It would make it a 1-0 game for your Vegas Golden Knights. I really like the setup here. Brayden McNabb, really good at setting up the puck and getting it into the right position. Paul Cotter, he has done good as a middle six forward this season. I really like to see what he can do long term. If he's somebody that could be a middle six forward as a constant in the NHL. But yeah, good job at Jonathan Marchessault. And I really like what I've seen from Marchessault this year. Like I've mentioned before on this show, and like we've done with recaps in the past, this is a situation where Jonathan Marchessault has really become one of the best players in Vegas. Now, I know one of the main complaints about him is that he can sometimes be off and on. This is something that people have addressed in the past, that, he can be, on it for a couple of games and have multiple games where he has points, one goal, one assist kind of thing. And then there's some games where he will be non-existent and he will barely be recognizable on the score sheet. But for a guy like Jonathan Marchessault, he had a goal in the Ottawa game, but he's only had a couple of goals in this month. So kind of interesting to see how he does for the remainder of this year. But yeah, Jonathan Marchessault, first goal of the game to make it a 1-0 situation. And like I mentioned, he unfortunately did not get a goal in the Carolina game, but did score a goal in the Ottawa one. So for Jonathan Marchessault, with the assist from Brayden McNabb and from Paul Cotter, would make it a 1-0 game. And I will say, getting it past one of the best goalies in the NHL does also kind of point that out as well. I mean, I will mention for your Vegas Golden Knights that when it comes to Tampa Bay, there's no doubt going up against a two-time Stanley Cup champion, Andrei Vasilevskiy, it's something that is kind of interesting. I've always found fascinating is when you're going up against a two-time Stanley Cup champion. Let's move on from that. Now, later in the first period, I mentioned how we were going to talk about this guy later in the show. Well, Ivan Barbashev, with a few minutes left in the first period, would score his 9th goal of the season. Assisted by Jack Eichel and Mark Stone, it would make it a 2-0 game for your Vegas Golden Knights. And I will point out, when it comes to Mark Stone and Jack Eichel, this first line has gelled really well in the last couple of games. I know some people did mention that Barbashev had a very weird start to the year. Ivan Barbashev, when it came to the first 10 to 15 games of the year, it just seemed like the chemistry wasn't right. It just seemed like he was just kind of lacking compared to Eichel and Stone. But over the last couple of games, especially with Ivan Barbashev, wow, what a difference it has been. Just over the last 5 games, he scored a goal against Calgary, scored a goal against Buffalo, and then scored a goal against Ottawa, and now in this game as well. So for someone who had kind of a slow start to the year to score 4 goals in the last 5 games has done pretty well for Ivan Barbashev. Jack Eichel and Mark Stone at this point in the season. Jack Eichel, 23 assists on the year. Mark Stone, 24 assists. So for a guy like this, for two guys who are already over the 20 assist mark for your Vegas Golden Knights. But this would be the 2-0 game, as with this goal, as to end the first period of the game, 20 minutes would be complete, and your Vegas Golden Knights would be up in this game 2-0. And really interesting, considering, once again, this is a road trip between Vegas and Tampa Bay, and considering that Vegas did pretty well in the first period. Now, moving over into the second period of this game, there was a lot more interesting and a lot more entertaining stuff that happened. Now, 2 minutes into the second period, Hayden Fleury had a hooking penalty against William Carrier. The Golden Knights would be on the power play, but unfortunately would not take advantage of it. But a few minutes later, Tampa Bay would take advantage, as 8 minutes into the second period, Alex Bouillet would have his 6th goal of the season, assisted by Connor Sherry and Victor Hedman. It would be a 2-1 game for your Golden Knights. This was a good play by Tampa Bay. I'm not going to sit here and try to bash it. But when it comes to this play, Victor Hedman, one of the best defensemen in all hockey, he did what he had to do on this play. So 6th goal of the season for Bouillet, and Tampa Bay would be down by 1. So that is really interesting what happened on that goal, put him down by 1. And then halfway into the second period, there was this situation that I found really interesting, and I actually got a little bit of a smile out of. With 12 minutes into the second period, Brandon Hagel would have an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, and that would not only be it, as he would go into a fight with Ivan Barbashev. So Ivan Barbashev and Brandon Hagel would get into a fight in this game. So very interesting for your Vegas Golden Knights. We really don't see fighting that much with your Golden Knights. I mean, we had the Washington situation with Paul Cotter. We also had in the Philadelphia game a little bit of a scrum with Chandler Stevenson, but even that was a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, really cool anytime you can see a fight in the NHL. But for your Vegas Golden Knights in the second period, Brandon Hagel would get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty and would have to fight Ivan Barbashev in the second period. And, for Ivan Barbashev, I do want to mention with him that this is, I think, the first time all year that he has gotten into a fight for your Vegas Golden Knights. So not common, to say the least. It's not common to see Ivan Barbashev get into a fight for your Vegas Golden Knights organization. But like I mentioned, him and Brandon Hagel getting into a fight with halfway into the second period. And yeah, that was just a really interesting moment. And there was a lot of fun back and forth there. And with him serving an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, that meant that your Golden Knights would be on the power play. And then, there would be that situation there. The Golden Knights would not be able to take advantage of it. However, something would happen about a minute later that would actually go in favor of Tampa Bay and not Vegas, as about a half a minute later, Mark Stone would get a tripping penalty against Anthony Cirelli, and that would open the door for your Vegas Golden Knights, as Nikita Kucherov would have his 23rd goal of the season. It'd be assisted by Steven Stamkos and Victor Hedman. It would make it a 2-2 game for your Vegas Golden Knights and Tampa Bay. Now, when it comes to Nikita Kucherov, he has been by far one of the best players of this season, really the last couple of years in actuality. Victor Hedman, Steven Stamkos, Kucherov, kind of the core of Tampa Bay over the last 5 years, coming into effect and coming into play in this game. And when it comes to Kucherov on a power play, not bad for your Vegas Golden Knights organization. And, I will say when it comes to Tampa Bay, unfortunately, them scoring a power play against Vegas. Now, the penalties would not stop, as Nick Watt would get into a fight half a minute later. So 2 fights in one game, as Nick Watt would fight Michael Isamont, and it would be a fight between those two. So not only did you have 2 fights in this game, but you had 2 fights in the same period, and it was Nick Watt and Ivan Barbashev both getting fights in this game. And similar to what I said about Barbashev, Barbashev had his first fight of the season in this game as he took on, like I said, as he took on Brandon Hagel. But Nick Watt is a bit interesting as well, because if you're interesting about Nick Watt this season, so far this year, he has not gotten into a fight either. So this was his first fight of the season for your Vegas Golden Knights, and he definitely was in that as well. Now, about a minute later, Alex Pietrangelo would have a delay of game penalty for Vegas. So Tampa Bay would be back on the power play, and this was just not good for Vegas at all, as Braden Point on the power play would have his 15th goal of the season, assisted by Nick Paul and Nikita Kucherov, as it would be a 3-2 game for Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay would go up in this game, and they would end up beating Vegas as they got towards the end of the second period with a few minutes left. And you know what? I just have to call it what it is. This was just a very sloppy second period, and I really can't sit here and praise Tampa too much, but I also really can't sit here and bash Vegas that much. It was just a really sloppy second period when it came to Vegas, and I really thought the defense and the one second. And then you also had about 2 minutes later, Braden Point again would score with his 16th goal of the season. And no, that is not that's not a copy, by the way. Nick Watt and Nikita Kucherov would get the assist once again. So in this period, the Tampa Bay Lightning would score 4 goals, 2 of them on the power play, and 2 of them by Braden Point in the second period. So this was kind of a huge change of what happened in the first period for your Vegas Golden Knights. Because in the first period, Vegas was up 2-0. And then, 20 minutes goes by in the second period. Vegas has 2 fights. They have about 5 penalties in one period alone. And they let up 2 power play goals and 4 goals in the second period. And they'd be down by 2 in the second period. Just a very unfortunate situation for Vegas. And I know that they were going to try to come back in the third period, but just very unfortunate for Vegas. And as we got into the third period, Nikita Kucherov would get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for Tampa Bay. Like I said, a very physical game, but also kind of a sloppy game between Vegas and Tampa Bay. Nikita Kucherov getting that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, that would force your Vegas Golden Knights to be on the power play. And unlike the previous times before, your Vegas Golden Knights would get a power play goal, as Jonathan Marchessault would have his second goal of the season. He would get his second goal of the game, his 17th of the season, assisted by Jack Eichel and William Karlsson. And it would be a 4-3 game for Tampa and for Vegas. And, I will say for Jonathan Marchessault, really interesting situation there. Second goal of the night and first on the power play for Jonathan Marchessault. So him having a multi-goal game for Vegas, really good there. And then a few minutes later, when it seemed like Vegas was still in catch-up mode, hey, just like Pauly Shore back in the day, Paul Cotter with his 5th goal of the season, assisted by Braden McNabb and with Ben Hutton. Vegas would then be tied at 4 at this point. So halfway into the third period, Vegas would have a 4-4 game. Now, as we are kind of getting into the end of the game here, as we're starting to kind of wrap this up, you had a slashing penalty against Braden Point by Nick Hague by Vegas. So there would be a situation where Tampa Bay would be on the power play. They did not convert. And then Victor Hedman had a tripping penalty against Chandler Stevenson. And Vegas would not convert. To get into overtime, try to set up something there. But no. as with 2 minutes left in the game, Nick Paul, who already had 2 assists on the night, he would have his 11th goal of the season for Tampa Bay, as Vegas would end up at a 5-4 disadvantage. Braden Point and Victor Hedman with the assist here. So kind of like how Braden Point had 2 goals earlier in the night, assisted by Nick Paul and Victor Hedman. We'll just kind of rotate the first 2, and Nick Paul gets a goal of his own, assisted by Braden Point, and then the third assist of the night, Victor Hedman. So very good game by Victor Hedman with him having all those assists. The problem was he was playing for Tampa and not playing for Vegas. So the Vegas Golden Knights unfortunately letting up this goal with a little over 2 minutes left in the third period. And it would be at 18:47, and the Tampa Bay Lightning unfortunately would hold this off and pick up the win. Now, your player of the game for Vegas would be Jonathan Marchessault. Jonathan Marchessault having a 2-goal game, there's a no-brainer and no doubt that he would be the player of the game. You also can notice that Jonathan Marchessault throughout the entire night was picking up the attention. He was actually the guy kind of getting the puck on his stick, moving the puck around, doing what he had to do to make sure that Vegas was still in the contention here. So Jonathan Marchessault, player of the game here on Vegas Hockey Hub, because of, like I said before, him having the 2-goal game, a multi-goal performance, nicely done by Jonathan Marchessault. And you know what? I will say when it comes to Jonathan Marchessault, 17 goals on the year as we get towards the end of the year. Nice job by him. Tampa Bay Lightning playing a very physical style of play. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this is a Tampa Bay Lightning team that's kind of known for their physicality anyway to begin with. But what I found fascinating and what interests me is how Tampa Bay found a way to kind of make sure that Vegas would play their style. Where Vegas does a very good job of making people play the Vegas style, Tampa Bay actually kind of made Vegas for once kind of try to play their system and actually kind of adapted to what Vegas was doing and had them play Tampa style. So a very physical game. The 2 fights in the second period, like I said, very abnormal for Vegas. And Tampa Bay, very physical style. And that was very shown in this game. A lot of checks, a lot of penalties, a good back and forth there. Very physical style. And then I just quickly have to mention this one more time. Allowing 4 goals in the second period, blowing that 2-0 lead, just very unfortunate. I mean, this is a Vegas Golden Knights team that normally when they get out to a 2-0 lead or a 3-1 lead, your Vegas Golden Knights stick with it. But in this game, unfortunately, that just did not happen. The Vegas Golden Knights, unfortunately, could have been because of the defense letting up and not helping out a younger goaltender. Could be a young goalie just kind of having the rough patch and kind of having to learn on the fly. Whatever the situation might have been, the reality is Tampa Bay with Nikita Kucherov and with Braden Point essentially allowed Tampa Bay to get back in this game by scoring 4 goals in 1 period. Not a good look for your Vegas Golden Knights. And speaking of which, I do have to mention that is your current record for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, as we get into the last couple of games we're going to be talking about, obviously we have the upcoming game against Florida, and then we have Anaheim and LA afterwards. So we're going to be breaking down all of that here on Vegas Hockey Hub. We're also, I also know that I'm going to be going to a game in the next couple of days. I will be sharing footage and I will be uploading all of that to our social media sites at Vegas Hockey Hub. And then lastly, I'm wearing this on purpose. Go support UNLV Rebels Hockey. For anyone who doesn't know, UNLV Rebels Hockey is part of the ACHA, and they are a top 5 ranked team in the ACHA Division 1. And if you are able to go to City National Arena on a Friday or a Saturday, I highly recommend checking out UNLV Rebels Hockey. They're a fantastic organization. I like watching them play. I try to go down there and support them whenever I can. But like I said, I'm wearing the shirt right now. Go support UNLV Rebels hockey. It's a lot of fun. Now, this is Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And until next time, continue watching hockey. Go support junior hockey and go Knights, go.